Welcome to the UDel Talkin Sports podcast. My name is Ty Williams, and today I'm joined by Emma Johnson, Tim Brown, Quinn Kimbom, and Samya Agrawal. Today we're going to be looking at the World Series. We're going to get into the realm of football, looking at Tom Brady and some of his personal matters. And then we're going to be looking into the Washington Commanders and Dan Schneider and some brand new news today. But first, looking at the World Series, last night the Philadelphia Phillies winning 7-0 over the Houston Astros. 5 home runs, a shutout by Ranger Suarez. Let's get into it, guys. What do we think?
I think it was a pretty electric game. The atmosphere looked great. Really wish I could have been there in person to see that, experience something like that. I don't know. It was awesome, and I can't wait to see what the rest of the series is going to look like.
Yeah, the atmosphere in Philadelphia right now is pretty unmatched. Obviously, we have the Philadelphia Phillies, which are on a pretty unprecedented run, I'd say. And looking back, I was actually at the NLDS Game 5. I've never seen a city get behind a team like they did. This city was itching for a playoff game, and they got just that. Absolutely electric atmosphere, like Emma said. And really, I think the team kind of has been feeding off that. You know, you have energy in the stands, you perform well at home. I believe the Phillies are now 6-0 at home throughout this postseason. So really, the fans coming behind their team in a big way.
I also think what's electric about this atmosphere and this theme that's going on with the Phillies and the Eagles are they're above expectation, right? The Eagles are 10-0 right now, or 7-0 right now. I don't think anyone expected the start they've had to the season, and I definitely don't think anyone expected the Phillies going from a wild card spot to where they are now. They're just the Philly teams right now. It's got to be an amazing time to be a fan. It's just an amazing time to be a fan of the city and the shattering of expectations we've seen from these two teams.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. Yeah. Philadelphia Phillies, led by their MV3, as the fans call him, Bryce Harper. Home run after home run, clutch hit after clutch hit. He's just been really like the heart and soul of this team. You look back just a couple seasons ago when he was on the Nationals, it's shocking that he's performed and exceeded expectations like this, because look at where the Nats are at, right, Emma? How do you explain that?
It's tough to see that we had such a hard season, especially looking back 3 years ago today. The Nats won, the World Series without Bryce Harper's help, of course. He left in 2018. He played for about 6 seasons with us, which was great, and he did awesome. I was a huge fan myself growing up watching him play. I remember I had bobbleheads and T-shirts with his name on it. But, obviously we didn't need him, but the Phillies are very lucky to have him. I'll have to say that. They got him for a while, and he's definitely just going to, keep bringing that energy to Philly. They love him out there. So as much as I miss him down in the D.C. area, they're lucky to have him.
Yeah, and I'm from Maryland, so I really like the O's, so it's kind of hard to root for the Phillies. But over the summer, I got to see Jimmy Rollins sitting next to me in the club level seats, which was cool. He was a former player and was part of the last World Series back in 2008. He had great stats. It was really cool to see him, and it was great to see him show up to the game and supporting the Phillies again. It just kind of shows you how they make an impact known and that they come back and are a family and support each other.
Yeah, really. It's been awesome seeing a lot of the former players, not only Jimmy Rollins, but you have guys like Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, Shane Victorino, all former world champions coming out. A lot of them have been throwing the first pitch of the ball game, showing their support for the team. Really shows, the lasting legacy that the Phillies organization has kind of had on this team. And you got to believe nostalgia plays a factor here, because all these fans get to look back on that 2008 season where they, much like this 2022 season, bit of an underdog story, a gritty team that just keeps finding ways to win, but certainly seeing all those former Phillies in the stands, it's pretty awesome for the fans there. But besides just, the ball players, you got, Miles Teller out in the stadium supporting his hometown team. And I believe last night Tim McGraw was also in the stands. So the Phillies really bringing a wide array of celebrity guests out to the stadium and contributing, once, like we said earlier, to an absolutely electric atmosphere. But looking into the actual, grittiness of the game, let's talk about them. So last night, like we kind of mentioned, 7-0, a bit of a blowout from the beginning. We had clutch home run after clutch home run. But looking back at Game 2, Phillies went down early. The pitching wasn't there. But I think the key to this series started in Game 1, which went to extra innings. Tim, let's talk about that a little bit. What was going on in that 10th inning?
Yeah, so what happened was pinch hitter Aldamiz Diaz was up to bat at the 10th inning, and they walked him thinking he was hit with a pitch. But he actually leaned into the pitch, which was against the rules. And ultimately, he did not get the result. The Astros did not get the result in the walk. And the Phillies ended up winning the game 6-5, which is also kind of crazy to look at. We've known the Astros before for making scandals like this and cheating. The Astros in 2017, when they were accused of
Caught,
I
yes.
You have to admit, we all saw the videos, we all talked about it. They cheated. It's just plain and simple.
Banging some trash cans in the dugout. That's all it was. But yeah, like you were saying, Tim.
I think what's going to be interesting is the narrative going forth. If the Astros are somehow able to win the series, are there going to be investigations? What other possibilities what accusations are going to come forth of this if the Astros are able to somehow pull out the series? We've seen them in the past make these types of cheating scandals, and we know their consequences before. In the 2017, after their 2017 win, they were fined the maximum of $5 million. They forfeited their first and second round picks in the 2020 and 2021 drafts. They also had to fire their GM and field manager as soon as they were considered suspended for the rule violations. So it's really going to be interesting to see the narrative and where this takes a turn for the Astros if they're somehow able to pull out this World Series.
Agreed, 100%. When you look back to it, that at-bat in the 10th inning with Diaz, not only did he lean into that pitch, he stuck his left elbow guard out there. Obviously could not do that. The umpire made the right call in the moment, called him out for it. However, the key to that play, I believe, was the count was 2-0 at that point. I believe the Phillies pitcher had thrown a curveball right there, and it didn't seem to fully finish its spin, which it could have easily landed into the zone for a strike. Umpire didn't see it that way, ended up just calling it a ball and bringing Diaz back into the box. But let's say next pitch, that's a walk, that's bases loaded then in the bottom of the 10th. And, I mean, thank God the Phillies are able to get him out with, I think it was a ground ball to third. But looking back at that play, like the implications with, somewhat cheating, messing with the rules there, sticking your elbow guard out, trying to get on base. Not only did he not get away with that, but Astros got away with then getting a 3-0 count, next pitch walk. That changes the whole dynamic of the game there. So really gritty win by the Phillies. We had in that 10th inning, obviously, a JT Realmuto home run to give the Phillies the edge there. And another very, very close finish, though. Switching gears a little bit here. Looking at a run game in baseball that went to extras, we're going to talk about the world of cricket, okay? And we had a game between India and Pakistan that was a bit of a nail-biter. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so I'm from India, and we don't really have baseball as much as we have in US. But in India, we recently have our men's T20 World Cup series between Pakistan and India. It was held in Australia, and keeping in mind it was not in either of the countries which were playing, we still had 100,000 audience in the stadium, which is crazy. I would say cricket and baseball are pretty similar in many sense, and for the fan base itself, they both have a pretty big fan base. Just that baseball is famous in a lot of countries, and cricket is famous in not so many countries, but like very populated countries. I have heard similar stories and similar emotions, just like you guys have for baseball, for cricket. And I would say recent cricket match was a very close match. Like, it was 1 ball, 1 run, and finally India won in that match. It was crazy. It was all over the social media, and people really liked it. The thing with India-Pakistan match is that there is an invincible and invisible competition and intensity in the atmosphere whenever they're playing. Are there any teams like these in baseball where the competition can be felt beyond the field?
I definitely think there's times where the biggest probably rivalry in baseball is between the Yankees and the Red Sox. You know, like, it started way, way back when baseball first started getting big. They had Babe Ruth, you know, playing for the Red Sox, doing his thing, playing well. And, you know, he went over to the Yankees and just did even better. And the Red Sox just hated that. Boston fans hated that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Yankees just, they ate it up. You know, those New Yorkers, they're crazy up there. So it was just like, we have those rivalries as well. And it's just crazy to see how fan bases take it against each other and how they react with each other. Like, I know right now in these World Series games, like, imagine being a Houston Astros fan sitting in Citizens, like, Bank Park. Like, imagine sitting there and just getting attacked by all those Philly fans. Like, those people are diehard fans. They don't want to see an Astros fan sitting in the stands with them.
And they're gonna let you know. You know, they're gonna be very blunt. Obviously, Phillies fans always known to be a bit rowdy in a sense. But yeah, like you kind of mentioned, even going back to the NLDS series with the Phils. The Phillies versus the Braves, which is a division rivalry as always. NL East always competitive, but yeah, India-Pakistan very similar to a lot of the rivalries we see in baseball nowadays. Always gritty, always, you know, having fans show out. 100,000 people, it's absolutely insane to see at one event. And I had seen clips from the game itself. The sort of embrace that these fans show for their team, their country, it's insane. You know, you had people like literally covering their hands with their eyes, or they're covering their eyes with their face. Absolutely insane. Just nothing else to say besides that. We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to talk about our little sponsor, SeatGeek, but we'll be back with you shortly. Emma has an ad to read for all of you.
So for all those Philly sport fans out there who are involved in the current sport equinox, you know, we got the Phillies, we got the Eagles, we got the we got all their teams out there. SeatGeek is your way to get cheap seats to all those different games in the great city of Philadelphia. With SeatGeek, you can pick two different types of seats, focusing on the green seats. You want to make sure you're picking those so you can get the best deals for the best seats in the arenas. Using our promo code UDel, you can receive a 15% off on all tickets bought through SeatGeek and enjoy all those games that we have open for you guys. So now we're going to roll into more of a football setting, talking about Tom Brady and his personal matters going on right now and how that's affecting him playing and everything. So who wants to start us off on that?
Well, I'd like to start off by, a moment of silence, some condolences here for the poor fantasy football owners of Thomas Brady here. Really not much else to say. The guy's been struggling this season, and it's been well documented. The Bucs as a whole struggling, most recently losing to a Pittsburgh team with a rookie quarterback in Kenny Pickett that they should not have lost to. This is a Bucs team that has a pedigree within the last few seasons, but this season just doesn't seem to have it. And is that up to Tom Brady? Is it the team itself? Let's see. What do you guys think?
Well, I did watch the Ravens versus Buccaneers game, and I was rooting for both teams. I liked Tom Brady, and it was really sad to see him. He was so upset. He was yelling at the players, really frustrated, and you could see it on the field. And I was rooting for him, but he's going through a lot. Yeah,
Brady's been getting into it lately. You see him on the sidelines getting pretty heated with his teammates, his coaches, and certainly with the Surface Pro tablets. Brady was recently fined, and the NFL made a statement stating that they would fine players by smashing the Surface Pros, which display some game film on the sidelines. That obviously not good for the Buccaneers, but Tom Brady, as it's been well documented, personal life with his wife Giselle, coming back from retirement, in a sense. How do we feel about that?
I think it's crazy. I think what's going on with him right now, we really don't know if it's affecting his play, but one can only guess that it is. I know if I were Tom, I would have left. I would have called it quits. I think you have nothing else to prove. Most already consider you the greatest NFL, not even quarterback, the greatest NFL player to ever step on the gridiron. And the fact that he really had nothing to prove, and that he wanted to come back after Giselle. Also you got to look at it from her perspective. She had put her career on pause, right? So for her to do that, she was making more money than he was, and for her to kind of put her career on the sidelines for Tom to kind of finish out, and you really sense that he was going to be done, and that you knew there was a end coming, or so we thought. And I think it's just crazy. I know if it was me, I wouldn't have done it. You've got nothing else to prove. You've made plenty of money. Go be with your kids at home, man. I mean, I know he's really trying to build a legacy, but it's just not.
You gotta feel like he's already accomplished his legacy.
Yes.
He's already won. He won a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay now.
Yeah.
He obviously has a storied history with the Patriots.
He's got 7 rings.
Exactly.
I mean, he's losing the most important ring of them all with Giselle. I mean, he had his 7 rings from his Super Bowls. Those are great accomplishments and everything. But I mean, you just got divorced with your wife. You lost that most important ring that you got before it all started. So it's really sad to see that ending between him and Giselle. But I don't know. It's definitely like a question to see, like, with seeing how bad he's been doing and how much he's been struggling with all this personal stuff and this, like, I guess, new mental thought process when he's playing. Like, do you think this could be his last season? Like, personally for me, like, seeing the way he is, his career is starting to decline. I mean, with the Patriots, he was just doing awesome with them. That was a dynasty they had up there. I mean, that thing was awesome. That team is awesome. They're doing great. And then, I don't know, he goes down to the Bucs and it's just, you won a Super Bowl, but it's not doing any better now.
Yeah. You knew his time was kind of expired with the Patriots after, I believe it was a wild card loss to the Tennessee Titans back in, I believe, 2019. But he did what he was supposed to do in Tampa Bay. He came on this contract only for a few years, won the team Super Bowl. I look at it, this should be the end for him. You don't want to tarnish a legacy that's already been storied and well documented. Really just got to look at this season as the last hurrah. Try to make it to the playoffs, though. We see the Bucs record 3-5, second in the division, which an NFC South division that this year is just not very good whatsoever. The Falcons are sitting at the top with Marcus Mariota at quarterback, 4-4. But Bucs are still obviously going to be contenders in this division. You never know as the season progresses. We're only halfway through, but once again, Tom Brady. You got to think that if this season doesn't go his way, it might be the end of TB12.
Yeah.
So I guess another question to ask is, does it really affect his legacy on the field? Right. I think most people, when they remember anyone's career, is the 2 most memorable points arguably are the beginning and the end. Mm-hmm. And if this is the end for him, do we look at him differently? Do we look at him 20 years from now and think, he was great, but look what happened at the end. Look how it all came crashing down. Do you guys think that will be remembered in the long term? Do you think, hey, it doesn't matter, he's already accomplished everything that he can accomplish and that he's still the greatest? Does that matter? Does what's going on? Maybe they have a bad season. Hypothetically, maybe they have a really bad season and he calls it quits. Does it change how we think of Tom Brady years down?
I would believe he's still the greatest. I mean, he's been playing for years, and he's probably the oldest quarterback, or is the oldest quarterback in the NFL. So I think you just kind of see, like, how far he's made it and how many years he's gone is pretty impressive. And to see he's still out there on the field is good, no matter how good or bad he is. But, I think he's still showing his legacy.
To me, it comes down to, it'd be really sad to see Brady finish in mediocrity, in a sense, because the dude has shown nothing but, absolute dominance throughout his career. And you look at a guy like Peyton Manning back in, I believe, 2015 with the Broncos. He finished on top, won the Super Bowl that season, had nothing else to prove, and that's the best way, when you look at an athlete in the twilight of their career. He won it all. And then you look at it from the other perspective, you have a guy like Dan Marino, another historic quarterback in the NFL. His last game, he had 11 completions on 25 attempts, 95 yards, 2 picks, 2 fumbles. It was arguably one of the worst ways to ever wrap up a storied career in the NFL. But do I think Brady will end a season like that? No. I I still believe, however, that ending in a sense of mediocrity, where if the Bucs kind of hover around 500 or Brady doesn't make the playoffs and then he announced at the end of the season that's it, like that would be very, very sad in terms of Brady's legacy. I think it would leave a lot of fans wanting more. Or obviously, like how last season ended, he announced the retirement after the postseason loss, and everyone felt okay with that. But I think ending it this way, or potentially ending it this way, could definitely affect how we remember him.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I was not really knowing this story before, like hearing from you guys. I feel he just has to decide what thing he has to prioritize, like if he want to prioritize his sport, his career, or he want to prioritize his family. So like he's like very much in a very tough situation. Like knowing the story from you guys, I would say like he has achieved a lot, and if he want to really leave and if he want to decide to go with his family, I would say it won't be a bad decision, because again, he does not has anything to prove. So I think
Right.
that would be a good one.
I completely agree with you. But with that, we're going to move on to our next topic today. We're going to talk about some recent news. So the Commanders, the Washington Commanders, you know, they just rebranded. They really wanted to get that new start as a team, fall away from the old name, the Redskins. And they were really transforming that. But then, unfortunately, Dan Snyder announced today that he wanted to sell them as a team. So, I mean, I don't know where we're going to go to next. We got to see who's going to buy them, what city they're going to move to. I know for me, being from that area, I know I'm going to see a lot of fans be upset about that decision if they move out of D.C. I mean, people there, they're just diehard fans. Every city has a diehard fan. If a team started in that city, you're going to build up that fan base. People are going to pass that stuff down to their kids. So it's really sad to see if they weren't to stay in D.C., but I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, they have. I went to a Washington game over the winter, and it was against the Eagles, and that was when one of the Eagles players fell over the fence.
Oh,
and
Jalen Hurts, yeah.
Yes.
That was funny. That
Yep.
was, I mean, how do you even explain that? FedEx
Yeah.
Field's infrastructure, but
Yep.
go ahead, Quinn, as you were saying.
Yeah, so they know, like everyone knows that the FedEx Field is just a terrible stadium, and hopefully with the selling the team, maybe they'll get a better stadium.
Really, though, I mean, this is long overdue. Dan Snyder, just history of being one of the worst owners in the National Football League. Like Emma said, hiring Bank of America to kind of shop the team around, look for potential new spots, new ownership. Snyder's owned this team since '99, paid $800 million for it. And has he increased the value of this franchise? Yes, it's in the $5 billions now. But at what cost, really, we have to look at. Like when looked at, FedEx Field is an absolute dumpster fire. The infrastructure of the stadium. What were you going to say, Emma?
It's not even in DC. It's not even close to the city. It's in a weird random part of Maryland. I mean, it's kind of surrounded by nothing. Getting to the stadium from DC is not the safest, for sure. It's just, like Ty's been saying, it's the environment at the stadium itself and the infrastructure of the stadium itself, but it's also like where it is and how to get there. It's just none of it is good, and it's really unfortunate to see that. But you know, you can't help that stuff. It's just some of these teams are a little bit older and they don't have as much money to build these huge facilities. They don't win as much, so they don't have as much revenue coming in to, you know, rebrand and build up from it. But I don't know.
Yeah, and on social media, I've seen that a lot of from Maryland, Commanders fans are really happy to see that Dan Snyder did that, because no one likes him here in Maryland, so they're really happy to see this, and it's all over social media.
You got to hope that this, you know, kind of does bring in more fans into the stadiums, because that's certainly also been an issue. FedEx Field regularly being kind of dominated by away teams. I know the Eagles have had multiple instances where you see a lot more green than you do maroon colors in that stadium. FedEx Field just filling 64.3% of the time. Not a very good look from an ownership perspective on filling in the seats. But once again, right in line with how Dan Snyder's ownership of this team has been. It's an ownership that's been a reign of terror in a sense. You know, constant allegations of a work environment that's been toxic, a culture of fear. And when you look at this season, Schneider recently stating that he has dirt on Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, and other owners. Really unexplainable behavior from Schneider, and you got to hope that this chopping of the team can potentially help out its future.
Yep.
I think that's a great spot to end on here, guys. Talked about a lot of great topics, like we said. We got the World Series. Game 4 tonight in Philadelphia. Phillies looking to take a 3-1 lead over the Astros. We'll see what happens with Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if they can, kind of steer the ship a little bit, change that 3-5 record to a positive one, and we're going to see, does this affect his legacy in the future? What's going to go on with the team and Dan Schneider shopping around, and let's hope it helps out the team in general. But for everyone here at UDel Talkin Sports, I'm Ty Williams, and thank you for joining us today.